evening, ladies. Have you ever wondered if witches are real? This evening I will be discussing the Salem witch trials. My name is Leslie. So something that I've come to realize is that not many people are fully informed about these trials. So this evening I will be discussing the origin, the witch hunt, and the legacy that the Salem witch trials left behind. So here is the origin as we will get started. So my first main point is going to be the origin. So according to history.com, it is said that the witches gained their power from devil worshipping. It is said that they would speak to the devil in exchange for loyalty. It was also such a rough time during the Puritan life in these villages, according to history.com, because of the British forefronts that had occurred and the smallpox epidemic that had arisen during these times. According to history.com, suspicious neighbors are also to blame for the Salem witch trials, not necessarily the trials themselves, but they would kind of, say, oh, she's a witch, jealousy was something that was huge among these neighbors. Something else that was also brought up is that there were a lot of witches that were executed, according to the Smithsonian magazine. It was a crazy amount. I believe like thousands of witches were murdered during these trials. Doctors blamed the supernatural, according to the Smithsonian magazine. They would have patients that just didn't have a medical reason for what was going on, and so they would blame the supernatural, the witches, the devil, all that kind of stuff. The Puritans also blamed the devil, according to the Smithsonian magazine. They said that they were, just anything that they could think of, they would just blame these devil worshippers, these witches, and that's kind of how it led to be what it became, the Salem witch trials. So my second main point is going to be the witch hunt, so as you can see here. So the witch hunt started off with 3 women that were blamed for the behavior of 2 young girls. These 2 young girls were showing off behavior that just didn't have a medical explanation for at the time. According to the Smithsonian magazine, these 3 women were interrogated. According to the Smithsonian magazine, they were brought to court, and I believe it was a minister, and they were, questioned, kind of what is going on with these 3 young girls. What did you do to them? Only one woman declared herself guilty, according to the Smithsonian magazine. She stated that she worked for the devil and that she signed his big black book in exchange for loyalty. Of course, the 3 women were put in jail, even though only 2 were, they said that they had nothing to do with this young girl's behavior, according to the Smithsonian magazine. So accusations began to arise after these 3 women were put in jail. More neighbors came up and started saying, she's a witch, she's the reason that, this happened, so it was a bunch of accusations that were in the air during this time, according to the Smithsonian magazine. So my third point is going to be the legacy that they left behind. Here is the Salem Witch Trial Museum that you can go to nowadays to go see about the history of the Salem Witch Trials. So it was decided that evidence must be equal to to any other crime. The Salem Witch Trials, it could no longer be, accusations, hearsay. It had to be equal, according to history.com. Minister Mather warned about how it wasn't fair that there was such lack of evidence for this type of stuff. He had decided that it just wasn't going to be fair anymore. You had to have full-on evidence that these were actual things that were occurring, according to history.com. So Governor Phipp decided to just dissolve the entire court that had to do with these Salem witch trials, according to history.com. He just said that it wasn't fair, that there was not much evidence that could go on by. He just said, let's just dissolve it. Nothing is going to be, these women will no longer be tried incorrectly. There was one judge, Judge Seawall, he felt extremely guilty about the entire thing, according to Smithsonianmagazine.com. He just felt awful that this had even happened. It was just, bizarre that these women were tried. He thinks that something could have been done better during these times when it first started. The general court just decided to order fasting and soul searching in honor of the women that were executed incorrectly. According to the Smithsonian magazine, he decided that there would be a day where they just kind of donate, they soul search in honor of the women. I mean, he felt like it was the least that he could do. There was also a memorial dedicated on the 300th anniversary of the Salem witch trials. According to the Smithsonian Magazine, it was, kind of a way of bringing remembrance to the Salem witch trials and, just kind of tackling on, exactly what had happened during these trials. To conclude, I think that these trials are always going to be something that is discussed and remembered. The Salem witch trials, they left behind an origin, a witch hunt, and a legacy that will, I think, be remembered for as long as, it's discussed. The Salem witch trials, I think, will be remembered as trials that just brought women to court for being accused of, witchcraft.